All right, put your hands together for the CSL Dallas music team. Aren't they lovely? And welcome to CSL Dallas, no matter where you are in the world. We're grateful that you're in community with us today. And as a reminder, every day is a day for transformation, spiritual deepening, and heart connection, no matter what's going on. Every day we learn and practice something important and makes a difference. And today we invite you to fast and feast. We are glad that you're here with us, so put your hands together for the CSL Dallas music team.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to CSL Dallas here on campus and online. We're so glad you're here this morning. In fact, you're the one thing that I would rather be doing today than gardening in this beautiful morning. Be here at CSL Dallas and gardening our soul journey. We're so glad that you're here together with us this morning. I really like to be here because you're the kind of people that will say this together with me right now, our purpose statement for CSL Dallas. We are radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, transforming lives. And so it is. And I know everybody with us now online and here in the sanctuary, you're active with CSL Dallas, and we're so happy that you're our volunteers, you're attending classes, you are at the workshops, and you are supporting CSL Dallas here and in your own lives, making a great difference in this world. So I'm proud to be here together. Now we have a lot of gratitude to share this morning because of so many people who have stepped up so big. The countless community members that have contributed their part of the vision for the past 6 weeks. Here's some of the things that we've done, and thanks to these people. First of all, fantastic facility support. We want to thank Dan, Frank, Anthony, Randy, and the Young Adult Circle. Let's give them some thanks. Yeah. So we're glad that everything works when we want to go use it around here. Also, we had expert event support. So we've had so many things going on. Thank you to Rhonda, Willeen, Denise, Jan, Patrick, Amy, Bill, Carol, Daniel, and Gloria. Thank you so much. And also, we had our annual meeting. What outstanding support we had for the annual meeting by the Sacred Service team, the nominating corps, and the corps council. And, oh, thank you for the, and I hope you participated. Certainly you did if you were here for Sunday celebrations, was our Step Out in Faith program. What great support that we had for that program by Bobby, Debbie, Reverend Patty, and Carl. Let's thank them so much, please. Now, oh, here's something new. Drum roll, please. You awake back there? Yeah. Come on, Matt. Thank you so much. We have new numbers to report. With your support of the fundraiser we held for the Uganda Community School, we raised $5,123. And that's just to support the school. You also raised $3,690 to sponsor 30 students. That's great. So we know that we're making an impact, but it's not just the impact on those individuals. It's the impact on consciousness. Because where you lift, the piece that you lift helps everybody else that's trying to lift as well. And so we're all one, and so thank you so much for that part that you played. We cannot wait to see how this helps expand the school, supports the children, and allows their community to thrive. If you haven't seen the photos or the YouTube video of Reverend Karen's recent trip to Uganda, you'll be blown away by the beauty, the energy of the school, and the students. After we adopted the school in 2022, and after seeing it exponentially grow in 2023, there's no telling how great your impact can be. All by providing better education and opportunity for our beloved neighbors around the world, in a world that works for everyone. Thank you for your support. But wait, we have more gratitude to share. This is good. I love having this much gratitude. We're sending so much love to everyone who supported our Spring Opportunity Fair. We received over 80 expressions of interest in our circles and teams. And that's where it is. And so many of you I know as friends that have been in circles and teams with me, that's the way to move forward. It's a way to really get on the spiritual journey with like-minded people who are struggling and winning, and you can celebrate all that together and know that you're not doing this alone. Let us thank, though, for the Spring Opportunity Fair, our event lead, Cecilia, Sacred Service team, Gary, Kia, and Karen, and supporting the food and drinks was the culinary team and Reverend Marcia and Brenda, and then the event setup was the Young Adult Circle, and then the door prize donors was Brenda, Chris, Georgia Ann, Kia, Valerie, Nicole, and then several of you community members stayed behind afterwards to help clean up. So hats off to everybody for that great event. All right, if you didn't know, though, volunteering is a huge part of our life here at CSL Dallas. That's what makes us come to life. So think about what's your piece of that vision. Are you volunteering already? You on a team? Are you in a circle? Let's get together. We want to continue always to uplift and help each other soar to greater and greater heights. That's the way everything gets done here. Nobody from outside comes in and does it. We handle it. So I'm happy to be here with all of you successful people. If you are trying to figure out your piece of the vision, always, you can reach out to Brianna here at CSL Dallas, Brianna at csldallas.org, or any member of the Sacred Service team that can help you find out how to get engaged. Now, welcome everyone. If you're here for the first time, you're joining us on the live stream for the first time, we're so glad that you found us. Whatever your path has been, you're welcome here. Join us on our journey as we move forward together. We would love for you to be able to stay in touch with us. You can follow us on social media. Also, if you'd like to receive text, inspirational emails, there's information cards at the back of the sanctuary. Please fill one out, drop it in one of the baskets, or hand it to someone with a badge or something like this, and they will absolutely get you signed up so that you can receive that support throughout the week and stay connected to everything happening at CSL Dallas. Well, thanks for letting me give you a little preview of all the great stuff and to take some time to thank those people who have done so much to support us here on our recent events. Now is the time to center. We turn within and enjoy some fabulous music from the music team and words from our practitioner.
Please join me as we go within and allow, taking that breath on this beautiful spring day, breathing in, breathing out, knowing the divine is breathing us, knowing the divine flow of life is right where we are. The abundance of spirit right where we are. The love of spirit right where we are. In us, as us, through us, as we come together today, knowing the divine within is expressing outward. That we are allowing that abundance, that love, that peace, that beauty that spirit is to express through us into this community and beyond this community into the world. And as we come together today, we are grounded in this knowing, absolutely grounded in that spiritual truth of who we are. And we affirm it by saying, and so it is.
From my heart ladies and gentlemen, celebrating our youth and all of the talent that we have in this room and in this community, would you please welcome Alex Wadley.
Brothers and sisters, how y'all feeling today?
You ready, baby?
Yep.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. Hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. 'Cause I'm happy, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. 'Cause I'm clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. 'Cause I'm clap along if you feel like that's what you wanna do. Hey, come on, here come bad dudes talking this and that. Give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. 'Cause I'm clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. 'Cause I'm clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. 'Cause I'm clap along if you feel like that's what you wanna do. Hey, come on, bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said your love is too high. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said I'll tell you now. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said your love is too high. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said 'cause I clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. 'Cause I'm clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Yeah, clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, hey, hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you wanna do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Yeah, clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, hey, hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you wanna do. Hey, come on. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said your love is too high. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. 'Cause I feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Yeah, clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you wanna do. Yeah, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Yeah, clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you wanna do. Yeah. Thank you.
Alex Wadley.
Thank you, Alex, band, and CSL Dallas doo-wop singers. Woo! Fabulous. Thank you so much. Woo! Ha! Isn't that the perfect song to start talking about fasting? That is our topic for today. Fasting and feasting, because you know we're coming to the end of Ramadan. And for those of us who were raised, certainly Catholic, we also just completed Lent at Easter. And what do we know about Lent and Ramadan? Fasting, right? Ha. Well, I grew up Catholic in Lent, and what that meant was 1 year I committed to not eat chewing gum. Because my mother hated it when I smacked the chewing gum, which I did regularly. I remember 1 year, I gave up going to the sweet shop on the way home and buying candy. Notice I did not say I was fasting from eating candy. I fasted from buying candy on the way home, which was one of my favorite things to do with my little dime, which was my weekly allowance. And I thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard. Why could I not eat sugar for this 45 days? What was the point? Nobody ever explained it to me. I had no idea, and quite frankly, truthfully, I felt like somehow I was being punished for things that I was enjoying. And that if I really wanted to fast for Lent, the most important thing was that I would give up something that I really loved. It truthfully made no sense to me. So, exploring Ramadan has been very interesting in terms of the fasting in Ramadan. For those of you who may not be familiar with the fasting in Ramadan, it is generally from sunup to sundown that is the fast. You do actually refrain from food and drink that entire time, unless you are unable to do so. If your physicality doesn't allow you to do so, if your job requires heavy, hard work and you need the water in the middle of a hot day, you are not required to punish yourself or damage yourself. If you have a job that requires that kind of work where you must continue to sustain yourself, or you are physically ill and need the sustenance, you can instead feed the hungry. You can give money to the poor. Because the recognition isn't about fasting as punishment. Neither is it fasting as I have to give up something I love to, I don't know, prove my piety, make God feel bad for me and give me some goodies. I don't really know, right? Because I was clueless as to why this was so important in the month of Lent, or in the time of Lent. Fasting in Ramadan is a significant devotional practice. It's a devotional practice in Islam. A devotional practice done out of love, not out of fear or punishment. Muslims have different ways of fasting, including all forms of self-restraint. This includes not eating and drinking, feeding a poor person, being absorbed in the remembrance of God, avoiding gossip or saying mean things, not being greedy with one's eyes or mouth, showing humility, and purifying oneself. The deeper purpose of fasting is striving to achieve God consciousness, so as to try to live by the ethics of Islam at all times. Trying to achieve God consciousness, to experience self-restraint. Fasting for Lent. For Christians, fasting is a powerful spiritual discipline that aligns the heart more closely with the heart of God. and also empowers individuals to see breakthroughs in specific areas. I wish I would have known this in my teens. Fasting is when one goes without food or specific types of food for a period of time and instead directs the attention more fully to God. I definitely did not know that part. It helps as believers to not be ruled by physical desires, but to grow in spiritual power and authority over indulgences of our physicality. It's important to note that fasting without prayer is simply not eating. I did not know that. Remember that the goal is not to not eat for a time. It is to not eat so that one can redirect focus, energy, and attention toward God. The goal is to replace consuming food with a time for God. Yeah. Wow. Fasting, right? And I know a lot of people who do intermittent fasting for their health and well-being, it's another way of losing weight, and all of those kinds of things. But the recognition of fasting as a spiritual discipline that is devotional, what a concept. And what a concept to think about fasting as something that we do that is actually in support of our spiritual development, not as a giving up of something, right? I never got that. Like somehow I'm supposed to give up the things I love to prove that I love God, to prove that I'm, a Catholic, to prove that I'm Islamic, to prove that I'm whatever. But no, to do it so that there's space and room for the presence to enter. The philosophy of fasting calls upon us to know ourselves, to master ourselves, and to discipline ourselves to better free ourselves. To fast is to identify our dependencies and free ourselves from them. Wow. And this is something that has become clear to me in the last 10 years or so, which was astonishing, is that discipline is actually the road to freedom. Right? Discipline isn't punishment. It is taking responsibility for our choices. That's what discipline is. Simply taking responsibility, taking personal responsibility for our choices, which is what we teach in the science of mind. To master ourselves, to make sure that we're doing things not because we're on autopilot, simply reaching for food or something to drink or something to watch or something to do just because we can't think of anything else to do, or because it's a habit, or because we feel like we're going to do it because it's going to make ourselves feel better, right? All the reasons that we do all of these things, but to choose. I remember when I moved out to my cabin in the woods, I had spectacularly burnt out of my first ministry. I had made a complete mess of my life and the ministry, and I went out there and I really sat there and thought, what am I doing? Why do I even want to do this? Who do I think I am trying to be? I don't actually know what I want. And I sat in my chair for 3 months. 3 months. And I would find myself walking out to the deck, and I would think, well, when did I decide I wanted to go out to the deck? Oh, well, I did it out of habit. I would go and sit in my chair. And I would find myself reading a book because I was bored of my own company and I couldn't think of anything else to do. And all of a sudden I would be reading a book and I would ask myself, when did I decide to read this book? Or did I just reach for it out of habit? I actually remember standing in the kitchen one day, 3/4 of the way through making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, not knowing when I made the decision that I was hungry, or that I even wanted a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I was doing it simply because I needed something to do, and it was habit. It took me 3 months to unhook the automatic patterns of staying busy, distracting myself, not having to be with myself, doing all of those things, before I could actually hear what was going on in my brain and my heart, enough to begin to process what had just happened in my life and where I thought I wanted to go. But that was, the requirement was to master myself enough to pay attention. And so we have to ask ourselves, what are our dependencies, our distractions, and our addictions? Karen and I started talking about this. Last year I was up at the cabin. I was sitting out on my table looking at the pond. There were birds in the trees. I'd had my morning cup of coffee. She went off to do something, and I sat there, and I reached for my phone. And I reached for my phone for no reason. Wow, it's really beautiful here. I'm just going to soak it up. And I reached for my phone. I watched myself do that 10 times. 10 times. For no reason but habit. Let's check the weather. Let's check the email. Let's check the this. Let's check the that. Let's do. Surely there's something out there I need to know about. Surely somebody needs to know how beautiful of a day I'm having. I should post this on Facebook. On and on and on it went, and I was like, oh my God, have I forgotten how to just sit here and enjoy? What are we dependent on? Food. We eat food to make ourselves feel better. We distract ourselves with games or with our devices, or we're just addicted to the dopamine hit, right? Of whatever it is. And so in this idea of fasting, right, it is not so much specifically food anymore as it was maybe 1,000 years ago, maybe 2,000 years ago, but to our dependencies, our distractions, and our addictions. So it is to fast is a purifying. It is a purifying and a cleansing. It is an opportunity to remove those things that fill us up unconsciously, that we do out of habit or automatically, so that we can choose to focus on the vibrant life we've been working on through our Step Out in Faith. So we can focus on hearing what's going on in our minds and our hearts and decide whether that's really what we want to be focusing on. And to limit the things that are coming at us that we're simply absorbing or addicted to. To fast from these things is to make room for our spiritual life to actually begin to come to the forefront, or to be the place from which we live, from which we move, and that is occupying our consciousness. All of you have heard about having a social media fast, right? If you tend to be out there on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, Snapchat or TikTok, right? To take a fast from social media so that that dopamine hit stops being activated, right? You know how that is, how you get rid of sugar cravings. You have to not eat sugar for 5 days, right? And the first 4 are terrible. The sugar monster is at the door. You wanting sugar, 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 sugar. But when we let go of it, right, it's the same thing with social media. News. How many of us are addicted to the news? I didn't read the newspaper for years. Now I have 3 newsletters that come into my email at 7 a.m. in the morning. They give me the world and the U.S. news. It's right there at my fingertips. TV, movies, music, that constant stuff that's in the background. Can we be in our house and we immediately turn something on? We immediately want to have some background noise. We immediately want to have something going on. How many of us, you don't have to raise your hand. How many of us, when we're alone and we're having a meal, how many of us put on a movie, get on our devices, right? I remember when Jason was growing up, one of the things I used to see, he would come to me and he'd say, I'm so bored, especially in the summer, right? After about a week, I'm so bored. Oh, I would say to him, well, here are your choices. You can have creative boredom, or I have a whole list of chores that you can do. He would say, oh, no, it's okay. And we would have a conversation about creative boredom. It's okay to be bored. Allow your creativity to flourish in those moments. Or, I have plenty of chores that you can do. Oh man, he and his friends, they would have archaeological digs in the ditch out back. And they would find all kinds of things. And they would spend days out there because they would rather do that than clean his room. Creative boredom. We have forgotten the power of boredom, the space that it creates. And so we distract ourselves and we fill it up. Devices while eating, digital games. Oh, please don't even get me started. I have 3 times I have removed every digital game from all of my devices. And then they creep back on. So I have finally decided to choose which 2 are allowed to stay on my devices. That's it. 2 of them. No more. And I limit myself to no more than 20 minutes. Period. 20 minutes, I'm allowed to do either one of those sets of games. And that is it. But do you see how I'm disciplining myself like a child? Right? Because I want to do it. I want to do it. It's so much fun. And then I realized that I was playing this game and I was no longer paying attention. I was just playing it. And I'm like, why are you doing this? I don't know. I'm playing it. Because stop. I'm playing it. Just stop. I'm playing it. Stop it. Do you ever find yourself doing that? Oh my gosh. Right? This is what we do when we are doing a fast. We say to ourselves, I am going to stop being on autopilot about these things. And all that time that I spent doing that, I'm going to give that to my spiritual attention. That's what it means, right? Oh my God, how many of us still have our email and text notifications up? Boom, 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 pay attention. I mean, it's taken me years to learn. I do my emails twice a day, in the morning and late afternoon. Sometimes that means 5 in the morning and 11 o'clock at night, if my day is really busy. But I do it twice, and I've turned off all my notifications. Why? Because it's a distraction. We all have things to focus on that take a longer period of time, that take our attention, including our spirituality. And of course, food and drink. Those things that we reach for to simply distract ourselves. Ernest Holmes says this, perhaps true fasting is a determination to no longer entertain negative thoughts. Perhaps it means to continually be affirming the good instead. So there is outward fasting, right? Breaking of habits, which is a metaphor, a symbol. It's a way of diligently practicing the same thing that we have to do in our consciousness. What are our negative thought patterns that we need to fast from? Fasting from our negative thought patterns, fasting from fear. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Right? Finding something when we find ourselves to be afraid, to fast from giving into the fear, to fast from our doubt and our overanalyzing of everything and needing to figure it out, to fast from unforgiveness means we stop telling the story about it. We stop talking about the trauma. We stop blaming our trauma. We fast from that. We fast from projecting on other people, which is another nice word for blame. Fasting from regret and worry and anger. Now, this is a long list. In Lent, you pick one. Chewing gum. Pick one. You don't have to fast from them all. Oh my God, we'll all fall over dead because we'll be exhausted, right? Or we'll give up after 3 days and go right back to overindulging our bodies and our minds because it's too much. That's why fasting is very, very specific, right? In Ramadan, it's fasting from sunup to sundown. In Lent, it's picking a thing to fast from. So we're not going to fast from all of these things all at once. Pick one. Pick the one that is causing the most challenge. Pick the one that you've become aware of is the one that's running you in a way that you no longer want to have it run you. And say, I am going to fast now from this. I'm going to fast from it for a day. Just try it for a day. I'm going to fast from this for this week. This whole time running up to this presentation I have to do or this big scary thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fast from worrying about it. Every time I worry, I'm going to say, no, I'm fasting from that. Do you see? To fast from our negative thinking is the most powerful way that we can engage in this fasting, even more so. But if we're not fasting outwardly, do you see, we might not have the space to realize that we're not fasting inwardly. Does that make sense? If I'm distracting myself and I'm addicted to things and I'm on autopilot, I won't even realize that my worrying is running me, that my fear is running me, that my doubt is running away with me. So the outer fasting makes space for that, which is part of the reason why it's so uncomfortable. Because now all of a sudden, that which we are distracting ourselves from is front and center. But now we can fast from it to the best of our ability, right? I love all the descriptions that I read about Ramadan. Such deep compassion for us. To recognize that it's not about perfection. It's not about doing it perfectly. It's about the practice. Do you see? It's about the practice of it. And what we are doing is developing the discipline, which is the door to freedom. It is good to practice to fast and feast on affirmations only. Why not fast from the ideas of lack and feast on the ideas of abundance? Now, this is the thing that I love about the science of mind. Yes, there is something we decide not to do, but the reality of it is deciding not to do it is not enough. I don't know if you've ever realized that, but saying I'm not going to do that, like your brain is like, well, there's a big vacuum. There's a vacuum, and so I'm going to reach the next thing for the next thing I'm not supposed to do, right? Because I've created a vacuum. Well, it's a good place to start, but what are we going to fill it with? Right? This is what I love about the science of mind, is what are we now going to fill that space with? Well, both Lent and Ramadan say that what we are filling our space with is the presence of the divine, is our love for the infinite. To feast on life, on spirit, on abundance, on joy, on love, to feast on these things that are the truth of who we are. So what shall we feast on? Well, first of all, we have to feast on things that nourish our bodies and nourish our minds. right? We have to feast on these things. So if we are fasting from devices, if we are fasting from social media, if we're fasting from certain foods or drink, right? Then to replace that, what are we feasting on? What nourishes our bodies? What nourishes our mind? So what if instead we feasted on meditation? Every time you wanted to reach for a device because you couldn't think of anything else to do, Petra, what if you spent 2 minutes meditating? What a novel concept. Right? What if we feast on meditation or making a difference, recognizing that instead of watching a movie, we could be writing a letter to our congressman about things that are going on that we have something to say about? What if we feasted on positive friendships instead of watching all the drama on television? Right? And all those thrillers and horror movies that simply keep the cortisol running and keep us in that place of stress? What if instead we feasted on positive friendships? What if we feasted on spiritual mind treatment, our own, or we called up a spiritual coach and said, hey, I need a little support. Feast on a healthy lifestyle. Feast on giving your gift. What if we feasted on inspiration? What if instead of reaching for the phone, we reached for an inspiring book and just read a paragraph? Right? I cannot tell you how much this talk is for me. I thought, you're really going to stand up there and talk about all these things? And I'm like, yes, because I need to hear it. Right? Because it's so easy to get in the rut, in the habits. It's not that we're not well-meaning people. It's not that we don't want to be spiritual. It's not that we're trying to do it. It's that fasting breaks the habit. And deciding what I'm going to feast on instead builds a different habit. We're never going to get away from the fact that we are run on habits. What we want to do is have the habit be that which is actually in alignment with who we are and who we want to be. Right? So for me, fasting is powerful, and I don't want to create a vacuum that some other autopilot behavior is going to fill. Speaking from long and painful personal experience. So we want to feast on that which feeds us, feast on that which is good for our heart, good for our mind, and ultimately we want to feast on that which is good for our soul. Yeah, I mean, I really had to, like, this was the huge awareness around the pandemic for me. During the pandemic, as hard as I was working, I was giving myself the excuse that I was so overwhelmed about learning how to do all of the technology and learning how to speak into a camera when nobody was there, and you know, really trying not to be afraid about what was going to happen to CSL Dallas and all of that. I do believe that despite the fact that ministry is a 60 to 80 hour work week, that during the pandemic, I worked harder than I have ever worked. And so my excuse was, oh, just got to chill. Just going to chill and veg out. Karen and I, we watched all the Marvel movies in their timeline, in the timeline of the universe, right? Not when they were put out, but we watched all the Marvel movies. Yeah, we watched all the Mrs. Maisel episodes. We watched all the God knows what else, right? And I remember at one point, maybe 2 years in, we were starting to think about we're going to come back, and I thought, what have I been doing to nourish my soul? Oh, a little reading in the morning. Oh, a little meditation in the morning. Yeah, you know, kind of the bare minimum, like the bare minimum maintenance, brush your teeth, comb your hair. What was I doing to nourish my soul? Feasting on Spirit's presence. It's nonsense that when we're that, depleted that what we need to do is veg out and have more depletion. What we need is to feast on the presence of life itself, to become bored with our humanness, that we reach for things that fill our souls. That was the awakening for me in the pandemic, that I had stopped doing that in that deliberate manner. And so to feast on spiritual truth, to feed ourselves spiritual truth, to nourish our souls on spiritual truth, whether that's reaching for a book or a meditation or to sit and gaze on something beautiful, to feast on the qualities of the divine, where we can see it, how we can read about it, how we can fill ourselves back up with these qualities that are always present, that are always available to us. This is not just an intellectual list. This is being present to it. But do you see the fasting makes space for us to then be present to, wow, I'm having a moment of peace. Wow, look at how that beauty is just, it's so beautiful. Just don't even talk to yourself about the beauty. Just be with it. Just be with it. Sometimes on Wednesday nights in our meditation, I say in our silence, just feel how the silence is nourishing your nerve endings. There's nothing they need to be doing. And so they can come to rest. Our energy, that sensitivity that we all have, right? When we're feasting on these things, then our whole system gets resettled. It's like having a really great, perfect meal when we're hungry. We've done a lot of work and we nourish ourselves and our bodies and we don't overeat and our bodies feel like, ah, wow. Or a really great walk or a really big belly laugh. Do you see? So we're feasting on those things that nourish us, but there's no room for it if we're not fasting from the other things. Yeah. So thank you for listening to me talk to myself. And so I have been just really, really aware of these things. And so this week, I really invite you, as Ramadan is closing, right? Ramadan is closing this week. I think it's over on the 21st, so you still have a few days to participate. Pick one thing. Pick one outer thing maybe and one internal thing that you say, I'm going to fast from as much as I can during the day. Give yourself a block of time, sunrise to sunset. I'm going to fast from that. And then, what am I going to feast on instead? And let's see how it goes. So it is.
Thank you, Dr. Petra. What a fabulous message today. Let's ask our greeters to come forward, please. We're going to this part of the service where we help take care of our community. So this is the time when we demonstrate. So many of us are pledgers. We pledge support to the community. Others are giving as they can. And what's so awesome is that we do this together as a practice to fast from thoughts of lack and limitation and to feast on thoughts of abundance and a surplus, which is so great to do here today at CSL Dallas. So what we want to do is we want to say our abundance affirmation together here on the screen. We live in a loving, supportive universe with infinite abundance all around. I expect only good and accept only good in my life and for all people. I gratefully share my prosperity that it may flow to CSL Dallas and the world right here and right now. Awesome. Thank you so much to everyone. Let me make sure I've got the right information up here for you. Okay. There are lots of ways to give aside from being here in the sanctuary. Of course, we have text giving, Venmo, PayPal, auto tithing, and then the baskets that are coming through the sanctuary. Now let's talk about a few opportunities that are coming up this spring. You don't want to miss these. Lots of times we allow to letting our good get in the way of our great. You might have heard that said recently here where Reverend Karen has talked about it because, you know, it can be challenging to let go of something that we know that we have that's good, you know, maybe not too bad, something that's really pretty okay. But what would our lives look like if we were able to let go of that good and that okay and move into our greater experience? How often have we settled in life, so to speak, or settled in our profession or our relationships or our health or our wellness? So all this settling is something that Reverend Karen has something to say about. She has let go of her good several times in her life. She has let go of working for a highly successful company, working a highly successful 23-year in executive sales and marketing. Also, an 11-year relationship she left right before actually getting married, and being a senior minister here at CSL Dallas, a community that loves her so dearly. And those are just to name a few from her life. Well, Reverend Karen is here to help us all. She's going to lead us all past the good that we've settled for and lead us through reinventing ourselves, lead us to our own personal transformations. And don't settle for less any longer. It's time to go for your great. Visit our event webpage and register for her hybrid workshop that's going to be held on Thursday, April 27th. It's from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. It'll be live, in person, and online. So join us. You can check out all the details at csldallas.org. And also, how many of you, when you first discovered CSL Dallas, were surprised to discover a whole community of people who think like you do and who share similar spiritual beliefs? Well, you know you do not walk this path alone. The path of new thought isn't really new at all. It originates from ancient teachings, from ancient wisdom, and from deep lineage of mysticism and philosophy. So coming up the beginning of May, we have a class starting where you can explore this exact topic. Some of the things you'll cover: the roots of science of mind, the golden thread that runs through all world religions, how science and psychology have advanced human spirituality, American thinkers and healers that Science of Mind draws from, and lots more. Taught by practitioner Carol Merlo. You sign up for the course From Whence We Came. That's at csldallas.org/education. It starts Tuesdays, May 2nd, online and in person. And this is, attention, this is a prerequisite for anyone who wants to take Inward Journey this fall. And then finally, do you want to learn how to operate from an expanded perspective of prosperity? Because manifesting money is one thing, but growing a prosperity consciousness, that's entirely different. This is based on the work and the book Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. Practitioner Carol Merlo is ready to teach you again on this course, Spiritual Economics. Through accountability partners, in-class exercises, and deep discussion, you'll open to a whole new level of abundance in your life. Not having to worry about finances, knowing that you always have enough, more than enough, and removing stress. This creates an experience of freedom, and it's your birthright. Rather than scrambling to pay the bills, a prosperity consciousness allows you to contribute in ways you've never been able to before. That's starting on Thursday nights, May 4th. Now, every Sunday you can receive spiritual coaching here at CSL Dallas and online. So immediately following the celebration here, if you're on campus, you head across the breezeway to the Peace Room, and the practitioners are there to meet with you. And if you're online, there will be a link for a private Zoom chat in the chat box coming up right quick. We highly recommend these spiritual mind treatments, by the way. It's a core spiritual practice at CSL Dallas. It's very powerful, and our practitioners are here in service for you. We hope that you'll let them assist you with physical healing, challenging conditions you're dealing with, or co-creating something entirely new and exciting, a greater well-being. Everything that you seek is seeking you, and they'll help you hook it up. So see a practitioner. Now, let's close our time together with our amazing music team. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, great. Thanks for saying that, Linda.
Thank you.
Yep, the artist of the month will be here.
In
Carol-
Pankey Hall.
Carol Pankey Hall. Wonderful. Thank you.
Will you